By the time you stepped out of Durgan's battery and into the new snow outside, word had already spread of strange lights rising from the fortress and energy crackling in the sky. The survivors of Stalwart flocked to Durgan's battery, their steps hastened by the promise of peace and prosperity at last. They mended their walls, gathered their strength, and prepared their town for the new opportunities that were sure to come. And with the voices of Durgan's battery silent at last, none heard the distant groan of something stirring among the peaks, as massive and relentless as an avalanche.
So I guess what we'll do is we'll go to Stalwart Village now and see if that continues it. So yeah, we literally can't kick off part 2 without leaving the White March area, which I'm not gonna kick off part 2 just yet. Once we go to Stalwart, I'm planning on basically putting away Pillars of Eternity for a while. It's it's too much. Well, not too much. It's just going too long. And I knew it would be a long game because I can't stop myself from doing the side quests, and there's just so much fighting. So much fighting. Yeesh. Like, I don't mind a bit of fighting here and there, and some cool combats, but you gotta have limits, man. You gotta have limits. But we'll finish this off. We'll actually see what people are up to and like how they're responding. So, Tealdor. I'm still looking for someone to take care of those dangerous folk. Here's Firedorn's head. Oh, I'd forgotten about that. That's a relief. A fellow like that was bound to cause trouble even if he was crazy. Here, this is for you. Excellent. No more bounties. Completed that. Hey, Rayfold.
You really did it. I mean, people have always come through here, talking about opening the battery, claiming the White Forge, all that. But I didn't think anyone would ever really manage it. I told Renegade I'd be willing to help with getting the mines back in order. You know, do my part. Figure we can turn this place around, now that you've laid the foundation.
Boom. You. One last bit of construction, eh? Okay. Bound and buried added. Assign someone. We will have you. So, this is superstitious folks near Road's End have been acting on a rumor that the hair of a dead virgin was bound and buried alive can cure a hollowborn. Not only has it resulted in horrific attacks against young women, but unscrupulous merchants have taken to selling bits of hair to those who don't have the stomach to perform the act themselves. Rodan's local Danes have assigned agents to root out the problem, but have had little success. So grieving mum, do your thing. Let's see what else is happening around town before we leave here. For basically ever. I could potentially go back and try and do the dragon. Hopefully it'll still be there when we come back later. But right now, I'm done. Let's see. Farah.
I'll be gone just as soon as the weather clears.
Jujuts. No, I don't want to play that. Hefric. So you really found the White Forge, huh? Hardly believed it at first, but I've never seen Renegade so giddy about anything. Least I can do is treat you to another round. Here's to the savior of Stalwart. He raises a mug to you, and cheers erupt around the room. The other patrons hoot and whistle, clanking their mugs against tables. After a few moments, everyone returns to their drink, and Hefric returns back to you. 6 ales. Sweet. I mean, still not going to use them. We'll talk to Zahwa in a moment. Well done. With any luck, we'll get some new folk and their coin in town to see the battery. Sounds like Gregor speaking, but it's getting harder to tell the two of them apart. Okay, cool. You are done already. You don't got anything I care about. Next. We'll talk to Zahwa in a moment. So overall, if I were to talk about how I felt about White Forge, it's a significant step up in the demands of me in combat. But the main way it seems to achieve that is through the use of status effects like paralysis and stun and stuck, which frankly are just not very fun effects. I found that the only way I really had to really effectively deal with them, because the enemies that could cast them over and over. So even if they had like a 50% chance of success, it still was, way too high for my purposes. They could keep me locked down for enough of the fight that I got rolled over. And I didn't really seem to have a good way of boosting my defenses enough to stop paralysis from being a problem. So the only way I really could deal with it is literally by using Durance's spell that makes my guys completely immune to paralysis. In which case, it's fine, but fine in some regards, but it really just meant, I can do 3 fights a day against these kinds of enemies. Is it true? I saw the lights from the battery. Did you really open it? The Olin claps his hands in wonder. I can't believe it. I was sure I'd never make this route again, but who knows what rarities will come from those holes, Such an exciting time. What, do you have anything new for sale? No, you've got all the shit I sold you. That's fine. Yeah, all good. Don't care. And I don't really see that changing. There's nothing that would make any of this better. I suspect Galvino would have something to say as well, but I don't care enough. I mean, Galvino's not a good person. Let's go talk to Ranneko, and so we'll talk to Zahwa and then Ranneko.
So the dwarves of Durgan's battery did not destroy themselves after all. They fell to invaders.
And they seem to have been completely wiped out. And we still had a sealed hole, which is particularly interesting.
They left spirits to tell the tale. But the tale will never grow or change. Their time ended long ago.
He nods to himself, it appears.
But we have seen no invaders, and the battery was shut. Did they come only to destroy the dwarves, and then leave?
Probably not. But, I mean, that's clearly what part 2 is going to be about. Yeah. And so, as I said, right, I don't know a good way of dealing with that. Maybe if there was some obvious way I could disrupt attempts to paralyze me, which would mean you'd have to have a smaller number of enemies that are capable of paralysis, and a simpler way of disrupting things. But you don't really have a great way of just keeping something disrupted in this game. Maybe that would have helped some of these fights. And it's not just paralysis. I mean, it's also, I think, in general, my acceptance of the sheer amount of combat has gotten lower, because I don't want to deal with it anymore. I'd be much happier just getting the story, and that's one of the things I'm getting from Torment that I'm not getting from Pillars. Getting way more story and no combat, and that's wonderful for me right now. I'll definitely come back to this, but it'll be later. Give it some time to cool off.
200 years since folks set foot in Durgan's battery. Now you've cracked the place wide open, and with quite the display. Thanks to your help, we just might pull through. You've done a lot.
Ranneko. She shakes her hand. And here, I've been saving these. Some of the last gems we recovered before we had to close the mines. With any luck, we'll have them open soon again. I'm glad I could... She gives you a small pouch, gemstones twinkle inside. I'm glad I could help. So are we, but I'm hoping you'll make use of the White Forge too, if you haven't already. After all, you don't get much better than Durgan steel. If you can forge some into your existing gear, you'll have a powerful set of equipment in your hands. So what happens now for Starwood? Now it's up to us to use this opportunity to pull ourselves back together. She folds her arms. I'm still not pleased about having Berrigan's clan a stone's throw from our gates, but I'll have to hope that your deal with her holds. We'll just have to hope that Taina pushes along for a few more years. She once knew a lot about mining, but she's starting to go. Ranneko taps her head. to be honest, I don't really think anyone could open the battery. Sorry, I didn't really think anyone could open the battery. It just gave folk something to hope for. But I'm starting to hope the White Forge could turn things around for us if we're able to make use of it before some dear wooden noble stakes a claim out here.
What's on your mind?
And, you?
Seems I was wrong about you. Most of these adventurers come for gold and glory and leave us with a new heap of trouble. You've been different.
Cool. Yes, I have. I beat this thing. So, I mean, that's a nice lot of, like, just small amounts. There's not really a huge amount of new information here, but it's also very much set up as end of Act 1. And then Act 2 will come back when we return here.
That fire you're pining for who wasn't in such pleasant company.
The fires where I come from reduce metal to shapeless liquid. It's where your kind belongs.
Wow.
Along with all the other abominations
Durance.
of animancy.
Man, cool it. Cool it. What else do I have to say, really? The story is interesting. I mean, it's also interesting to see what Obsidian can do when they're not...
Got to speak up?
When they're not carrying around a bunch of shit from Bacchus. Or rather, not shit from Bacchus, but just stuff that they couldn't be bothered finding a good way to integrate it. Yes, they had a fairly hard task, but as I've said before, and I will say again, they fumbled that task really badly. And there is a reason why clearly they do not want to even try anything close to it again with Pillars of Eternity 2. And you can see, like, just there's no backer on PCs, there's no backer memorials in this expansion. They didn't even try to, like, redistribute them, because they could have. They could have taken some of the backer memorials and they could have put them in here. They could have moved some of the NPCs around, especially since backers were always going to get the expansion, if I recall correctly. Certainly I got it, but I also backed at a high level, so I could be wrong there. And they've managed to avoid that here because they just didn't remove it from any of the other parts. Overall, I guess this is, when you actually think about the size of the DLC, it's not that big. I mean, it's also, as I said, one part, but it's a village, three outdoor maps, one big dungeon, a small dungeon, and a small dungeon in here. Don't think there's any real dungeon off of Longwatch Falls, as I recall. But again, there's a bunch of little side quests. It certainly takes a while because there's so much fighting. But yeah, it's a good way to occupy some time and expand the game for those of you that are really enjoying that. So this will be the last Pillars of Ranternity for a while. I don't know when it will come back. In this slot next time, not sure what it'll be. I'm currently tossing up a couple of ideas. I might revisit something that I spent a time off a while ago. That I last played quite a while ago. But I also might let's play something that it's not a more recent game, but also a game which has had a bunch of DLC come out for it that I haven't actually had a chance to try out. We'll see. I'm also willing to take suggestions. Let me know if you've got any. Until then, have a great time. Have a great day. Bye. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you spending the time and effort watching the videos I make. If you'd like to watch more, on the left there should be another video from this playlist. On the right there will be whatever YouTube recommends, and in the center there is a convenient subscribe button just in case you need it.